Hey guys, how's it going? Happy Friday. I hope all of you are doing good. Me, I'm doing all right, but I have come down with a little cold. I think I'll be over it in a day or two, and it sucks to have a midsummer cold. So if I have to sneeze, I've got the tissues right over here, and I'll put it on mute. And just like if you see me duck off the camera, you'll know what I'm doing. But it's good to be here with all of you. Oh boy, the 2A in interesting times. And I'm bringing back FFOA. Not that the original ever left. See, FFOA stood for, and still does, Future Felons of America, with the pistol brace rule, which there's some developments in court, some very recent ones actually, that I'm going to talk about a little bit. But right now, it's still in place and has made tens of millions of people potentially felons. A lot of people right now might have a little bit of a reprieve because they're members of certain groups, but we have to see how all that's going to play out. But there's a new FFOA. Wait a minute now. You guys are thinking, hold on a minute. Oh, yeah, but wait, there's more. Well, of course there is. There's always going to be more. Because just remember, this is a battle of good versus evil. And evil's going to keep prevailing when good men do nothing. And I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know how much it's going to take before the American people finally say, no, this is supposed to be a republic. The only reason this government should be allowed to exist at all is to protect our natural, God-given rights. These are the laws of nature, and of nature's God is what Thomas Jefferson said. But here we are. There's still more, and there's always more. The new FFOA is Future FFLs of America. Are all of you ready to get your FFL? Are all of you ready to sign on with the government and pay a fee to be able to transfer lawfully owned property? I don't know, because that may be a reality pretty soon. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But I want to thank all of you guys who are here tonight hanging out. And I want to thank all of you for the many ways that you support the channel. Those of you who support on Patreon, those of you that are channel members, some of you leave generous super chats. I definitely appreciate those. And look, without all of you guys' financial support, I wouldn't be able to do this. If you notice, I don't say this episode was sponsored by such and such. It's just me and you guys here trying to fight the good fight. Also, Locals. It's a censorship-free site where I will be streaming, assuming I feel better tomorrow, where I touch guns live, something that I cannot do here. I know a bunch of you guys are like, man, this world's just too stressful right now. Wouldn't it be cool if he could just sit here, like, show guns and talk about them? Well, I actually do that every Saturday night, and most of you aren't hanging out on those streams, but it'd be cool if a few more would come over. You can join Locals totally free, or you can support for more perks and help the channel. So definitely check that out. The link's in every description, including the description of this video. And yes, I literally show guns in every single live stream there. And I would do that right now tonight. I'm kind of in that mood, but I just can't do it. So there's an old story, an old curse. I think it's an English phrase. Some people attribute it to the Chinese. I don't know at this point if we can completely prove where it came from, but the old curse is, may you live in interesting times. Now, if you think about it at first, it could kind of sound like a compliment, but not necessarily. It could sound like, haha, to your destruction. And the fact that it is a riddle is what makes it so applicable to today. If we're not in interesting times right now, then I don't know that we're in any times at all. This whole world and this country is literally, it's gone insane. Can I just be blunt? Like, literally right now, this country's bat poop crazy. And I wake up every day saying, where am I? Like, what's going on? Now, of course, I live in Michigan right now, where a narrow majority of Democrats are pretending they have a super majority, and they're completely running roughshod and trampling over our Second Amendment protected rights, our First Amendment protected rights. Let's just cut to the chase. The whole Bill of Rights, the whole Constitution, and it's my opinion that they literally hate the state of Michigan and hate this country and want to oppress all of the subjects as much as they can. That's what's going on. But then I look around the whole country and it's like, man, there's stuff happening everywhere. Like literally. And there's stuff that's happening on the national level that's affecting every single American that you shouldn't even have to think about. And I think what's going to take is enough people to be like, wait a minute, I shouldn't even have to deal with that crap. I shouldn't even have to worry about that crap. And either everyone's just going to stop caring and just start doing their own thing. And then I guess we'll see how many prisons they can build and how many jails they can build. That's one plausible thing. Maybe they can lock up half the country. Maybe they can't. Or maybe people are going to come in once and for all and start actually getting involved in civics, at least at a basic level. It has to start out on the local level. I'm convinced of that. But we need to be paying attention at all levels. I mean, think about this. Every day when I hear in the international news headlines, you hear about Brics. Have you guys heard of Brics? Yeah, Brics are those things that the mostly peaceful protesters were throwing through windows during the summer of love. Well, no, not those Brics. I'm talking about Brics, which is a conglomerate, a forming union of countries. I hear South Africa is right in the process of joining as we speak. That's what's being reported. It's much of the rest of the world literally saying we're going to take out America as the petrodollar. We're going to take out America as the world's superpower. Now, here's the darn problem right now. You'd think that most of the American people and the patriots in America would be getting excited about defending America from all of these foreign enemies if it weren't for one big problem. And this is a big, big problem. Most people I'm talking to today, and I want you guys to chime into the chat and tell me what you think. Most people today consider our country and our own government to be a bigger enemy to us and our life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness than any of the foreign adversaries. Now, that's a tough situation. When you have a country that on the federal level has become so weaponized against so many people in this country that just want to be left alone and are just trying to freely exercise their natural rights that were endowed by their creator, and they just want to make it where every single thing's a pitfall. Every single thing's a trap. If you say the wrong thing with laws in Michigan, you could go to prison for that. The right to keep and bear arms has gone from shall not be infringed to you shall basically be too scared to even be a gun owner anymore. That's what they're trying to do to people. And in many cases, it's not working yet, but in many cases, unfortunately, it is. I'm going to talk about it in a little bit here, but I think I know why guns are so cheap. There's many reasons, and I've talked about that in previous streams, but dang it. Lately, I've been talking to more and more people, just people around here, that say they're getting out of guns. It's just too darn stressful. Like, they just want to be left alone and whatever, but if owning a gun means that potentially they could have the ATF come into their house, that they could have increased scrutiny, if they could have this, they could have that. It just gets too stressful for people. And a lot of people are starting to tap out. Now, Brics is literally looking to take over as the new world superpower. But then what if I said, well, hold on a minute, guys. NATO's better. Well, I would expect you guys to probably just unsubscribe. I'm not saying that. But you see the conundrum we're in and the predicament we're in, right? Who's the good guys? I don't know. And I asked you guys to fact check this for me a couple weeks ago, and nobody said I was wrong, so I'm going to go with this again at the expense of maybe misquoting the quoter, but I believe it was Norm Macdonald that said one time years ago, he said, isn't it funny how the good guys always win every war? I just keep thinking about that. And then I think about it, and I'm like, geez, what war are we fighting right now? Who's actually winning? Now, I can really quickly tell you who's losing. People like me and you are losing. The regular old-fashioned American people are losing. The very people that have been the heart and soul of this country, that have built this country up to where it was to be a shining city on a hill. That's what Washington, D.C. was supposed to be. And it was supposed to be a place that would protect our natural God-given rights and allow us to be free and allow us to have liberty. We were supposed to have a government that would only run at our consent, that we would see most likely to affect our safety and happiness. And I get really, really confused about a few things. And maybe you guys can talk this through with me and leave the chat, because I do read the chats. I'll sit there and talk to people. And in one hand, they're like, I'm pro Second Amendment from my cold, dead hands. And then in the next hand, they're like, well, we do need more law enforcement on all levels. It's an interesting thing because they're outlawing the right to keep and bear arms in a lot of places right now. And the so-called Bruin decision was a huge victory in a time where the Second Amendment had been almost completely trampled to death. But at the same time, you have many, many states, including my home state and a lot of your home states, where they're retaliating against the Bruin decision and actually making it where, see, look, I'm not jealous of you guys, and I don't want you guys as pity. We all have different problems wherever we live, okay? I want to make this perfectly clear. But in the United States of America, where the Supreme Court is supposed to be the supreme justices of our judicial system, my freedom to exercise my natural right to keep and bear arms has actually been hampered worse since Bruin passed. And it's also happened in the state of New York, and it's also happened in Oregon. It's also happened in Washington State. It's happened in Illinois. So in a country where the supreme law of the land says shall not be infringed, and I keep saying it because we can't forget that. That is what the supreme law of the land says. And where the highest echelon of the third branch of government has said no. No, look. Was there any gun control around the founding of this country? If so, we'll look at it. If not, the Second Amendment says shall not be infringed, and that's it. Which literally makes all gun control unconstitutional. There's many states, and I just listed a handful, but there's actually more than that. We actually have it worse now than before Bruin. Just think about that. And if you guys don't live in one of those states I mentioned, I probably missed a couple, obviously. New Jersey, okay, I can keep going. Pennsylvania has a lot of stuff looming, that's for sure. Tennessee has a lot of stuff looming, that's for sure. All of my friends in Florida, the gunshine state, passed constitutional carry. That unfortunately for you guys, I really wish it wasn't even constitutional carry. I mean, they called it that, so it is, but it's really not. Still can't open carry unless you're hunting and fishing. What kind of freedom and liberty is that? You guys see where I'm heading with this. So what? The United States credit rating just got dropped from a AAA, this is on the world credit rating system, to a AA+. All right. I don't know what all that means. In one sense, I don't really care, but I know it ain't good. With the potential tens of millions of FFLs that may need to be acquired in the next couple of years with this new ruling, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, and the tens of millions of future felons of America over the pistol brace ban, and we're not out of the woods yet at all. Like, it's been kicked back and pushed down just a few more days till next week now. The frames and receivers rule, we're not out of the woods yet there either. With all of that going on, who are you guys more worried about right now in your day-to-day life? If you were to walk out of your house and have a black SUV pull up next to you, and people got out and hurried up and put a bag over your head and threw you in it and drove you away, let's just say. Or if it was 4 a.m. and you heard bang and wolf and your dog was dead and all of a sudden flashbangs were going off in your house. Just say that happened. Who would you be more likely to think? In the 1 second you had to think, would you think that it was Russia that was in your house? Would you think it was China that was in your house? Or would you think it was your own government, the ATF in your house? You don't have to actually answer publicly here, but I think I know what the answer is. Most people I've been talking to right now actually suspect their own government to be their biggest enemy that they have over any foreign invader, unfortunately. It's a very interesting place right now. Very, very interesting. You know, they keep saying over and over again, we could be on the brink of World War III. It's always proxy wars. Anything resembling a war, even though none of them are technically wars anymore because they're not declared by Congress. I get all that, but any type of large military actions that basically they're wars. You know one when you see one, right? But they'll say they're not wars legally. They're all proxy wars, obviously. Duh. And we have a large faction of this country, a large faction that's rooting for the Ukraine. Now, typically, not always, but typically, if you took the law of averages, most people that are rooting for the Ukraine to win are saying, yeah, those Ukrainians, look at them. They're out in the streets shooting Russians. They're doing this. They're doing that. Well, actually, what's interesting about that is Ukraine had put in very, very severe gun control over the years. I can't show it here because we're on YouTube, but they would misconstrue. But I have a former Russian mag, okay, that used to hold 29 plus 1 rounds, and it was limited to only hold 10. And they also limit it where there's a little special groove, and they install this apparatus in the magwell of the Kalashnikovs over there to where the groove has to match up with the mag, and it basically physically blocks you from using anything other than 10-round mags. And it has Russian stamps on the spines, proving that's where it came from. But then it has the Ukraine crest, showing that it was their property. No, I just bought a couple because they're a very interesting piece, kind of for conversations like this. So the very people in this country that statistically want to disarm all of you want to arm Ukraine and want their citizens to have weapons through the moon. Now, hold on a minute. They say, why? Well, because big bad Russia, according to them, is picking on this smaller country. That's what they say. Some of you might agree with what I just said. Many of you don't. I'm just saying, that's what they say. But the same people say that us Americans who are getting picked on by one of the most powerful countries in the world, our own government, that we shouldn't have anything to protect ourselves. Where, make no mistake, in so many ways, China has invaded this country. Like, it's almost to the point where they've taken us over and we don't even know it yet. If you look at the learning institutions, I know this isn't necessarily Second Amendment related, but it's all connected. It's all natural rights, and it's the reason why the Second Amendment was put there, for when they come for all the rest. China pretty much owns most of the learning institutions in this country. If you look at all of the large money that's in the university brainwashing industrial complex, it's been happening a really, really long time. If you live in Michigan, you probably know that our governor is not only allowing them to come into Michigan, but begging them to come into Michigan. Basically bribing them to come into Michigan, where they can set up basically their own compound and country within our country. See, they don't need to bomb Pearl Harbor anymore. They don't need to have fleets of ships come up to our shores. They don't need to do any of that anymore. When a lot of people within very powerful positions within our government are actually not only inviting them in, but in many, many cases, all too often paying them large sums of money to come in. Now, hold on a minute. How many of you out there would just knowingly and willingly allow an invader, call it a burglar, whatever, just to come in your house and steal everything from you? You just let them do it and say, how many of you do this? Let's give a quick example. Put up a sign on the front of your house and say, hey, front door is unlocked. I won't do a thing. Just come in and take everything you want. How many of you guys have done that? All right, I don't need to wait. None of you have, of course. You're not crazy. Now, I'm just going to ask this to put it in perspective how crazy these times are. I already know the answer, but I have to ask, okay? How many of you put up a sign and have $100 bill taped to it? And you're like, grab this $100. I'm going to pay you to come on through my front door. And then when I meet you at the door, I'm going to give you a couple fat stacks, okay? And then you can come in and take everything you want. Don't answer me, of course. Nobody would do that, obviously. But that's actually going on, like, a lot. A lot. And then here's another topic that's a super, super huge topic. President Trump. Look, I'm not even a fan. He did the bump stock ban, okay? And we don't have to agree on everything, guys, and I don't want us to. I'm hoping there's enough mature people left in this world where we can still be friends and agree on stuff just because. But look, here's the thing. I'm not a fan, all right? He banned bump stocks, which has led to all these other bans, exploiting the Chevron deference so far that now that is the new law of the land, apparently. There's another ATF rule coming, future FFLs of America. Just give me a minute here. But at the same time, in an unprecedented show of, what do you even want to call it? Force, despotism, insanity? He's now being charged for, what, the third time? And I think they say the fourth time's coming any day now. 521 years in prison for the most recent one. For what? Saying that he didn't believe, he wasn't cool with, whatever you want to call it, the outcome of the elections? No, all I heard for 4 years while he was president from the other side was Russia, 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 Russia conspiracy, Russian bots. You can literally put together a montage that lasts 15 minutes long of all the top Dems and the top fake news going through, say that it was the most unfair election, it was totally rigged, it was Russians, it was this interference, that interference. They literally said that for 4 years straight. You know, we're not supposed to live in a country where just because you don't like your political opponents that you could just lock them up or hold large prison sentences over their head. So, I don't know. And some of you guys are saying right now in the chat, you're saying he should just go to prison. Okay. When does it stop? Where does it stop? Now, if we're going to put all of them in prison, okay, fine. Everyone that's broken the Constitution, they all go to prison. Now we're talking. Sure, great. But I call him the former vice president, right? The former vice president. He literally went on TV, national, international TV, and said, if you don't fire the prosecutor, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'll be danged. I got a plane to catch. I'm paraphrasing slightly here. If you don't by then, you're not getting the money. You don't believe me? Call the president yourself. He literally said this on TV right in front of everybody. Pretty one-sided is what I'm getting at right now. Nothing to see here, nothing there. The attorney general and the prosecutors are going after 16 electors in the state of Michigan, charging them with felonies right now. Huh? Richard Nixon, when he was presiding over the electoral votes, he made a decision that since there was litigation going on at the time, that he paused things, that he ended up taking an alternate slate of electors. Now, alternate slate of electors are called fraudulent electors, allegedly, according to the powers that be of Michigan, and they're threatening to lock all of them up and put them in prison. What I'm really trying to tell all you guys with all this stuff that might not sound directly Second Amendment related is we're really showing some signs lately of a third world country. Think about a third world country, roving bands of thugs in the streets, using force and threats and terrorizing people to get their will. Oh, well, we saw that for a couple summers straight, right? The mostly peaceful protests that literally culminated to changing America more over these last couple of years than in many ways it had changed in 100 years. So we've got that. That's pretty well out in the open. Okay. Roving gangs and bandits in the streets, burning, pillaging, looting, just power overwhelming by just hordes of just whatever. Third world country, right? Check. Okay, we got that. All right. A place where nobody or many people, look, there's been surveys taken, and the majority of the people don't currently believe in our current election system. So people not even believing in their own suffrage? Well, okay, check. That happens in third world countries, doesn't it? Disarming the populace. That always happens, no matter what. And banana republics, third world countries, all these different phrases for things that aren't necessarily the same, but certainly adjacent. And that's what they're working on in this country pretty darn hard. You know, you go back to Khrushchev, Nikita Khrushchev. He was the premier of Russia during the Cuban Missile Crisis, right? During the height of the Cold War. He publicly stated in one of his addresses probably 60 years ago now and said, I'll take you over. I'll take the United States over, he said, without ever firing a shot. Now we're starting to see some of that plan coming to fruition. Here's how I'm kind of looking at it now here. Our federal government is getting so messed up with this ATF. Look even on the state level, how thick the bureaucracy is in Michigan right now. A commission? Excuse me? Keep the windows clean, mow the lawn, change light bulbs, right? Commissioners are now banning guns from the Capitol. The new saying is, we're going to take all your guns without ever even passing another law. Do you guys kind of feel that way sometimes? Think about it. Congress certainly isn't anytime soon. Hopefully I'm wrong, but probably never going to make any law to actually repeal any gun control. But unfortunately, they don't even need to pass gun control laws anymore. Now they're doing that too. But the problem is this. They passed one law, the so-called Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. And here's where it gets tough. Because this wasn't just the Michigan senators that voted for that, see? Or the New York senators. And the California senators. And Washington and Oregon and New Jersey. No, actually, here's the problem. My friends in Texas, your senator voted for it too. My friends in South Carolina, Lindsey Graham. West Virginia. Man, what a great state. Remember John Denver? Almost heaven. West Virginia. Shelley Moore Capito voted for that law. That now there's going to be dozens of ATF rules promulgated off of it. The United States Senator from West Virginia voted for that. That's the Republican senator that voted for it. What about Joe Manchin of West Virginia voted for that? I mean, you got senators in Oklahoma voting for this. Montana? Whoa. they pass one darn law, and there's going to be dozens, if not hundreds, of ATF rules promulgated off of that, where basically their new mission statement is, we'll take all your guns and never even pass a law, right? So this brings me to another question here, as you guys are all scurrying to find out how much it costs to get an FFL, because you might need one soon. Nothing wrong with FFLs. You just shouldn't need an FFL to be a private owner of guns and sell some of your lawfully owned property, just to make that clear. I do videos talking about what's going on in Michigan a lot. And there's 3 large groups of comments that I get. I'm just going to put them into 3 main categories right now. The first category will be, yeah, pretty much this is number 1 now, unfortunately. Yeah, Michigan's screwed. It's done. It's over with. Who cares? Like, just, I'm out. I'm done. F this state. All right. The second most popular group of comments I'll get is, it's your own dang fault. You need to move to a free state. You got to move somewhere. All right, well, that's where I'm heading with this. And then the third is kind of a mixture of, well, I would, but I'd like to get more involved, but my pinky nail hurts. Gas is expensive. I had to work. Oh, I didn't work. Yeah, my whatever hurts too much. But going back to the second thing that I hear the most, move to a free state. Well, I was actually talking to a friend just a few minutes ago, and I was like, man, I don't even know if I can get on and do this live stream. Now, luckily, I'm a little stuffy. You guys can probably hear it in my voice, but I'm not running to the tissue box like crazy right now. So, but I'm like, man, dude, like, jeez, oh, Pete. The more you keep fighting in this darn state of Michigan, the more you realize how thick the swamp is. And they're like, what about Ohio? And then before I could even say anything, he's like, Ohio, though, that could be the next one that falls. Because here's the weird thing. Have you guys noticed this? Once you get a state, the state's doing all right with the Second Amendment. And then the other states next to it keep getting worse and worse and worse. Yes, it's a philosophical contagion, but it's almost like it's a physical contagion too. Like there's something you can pass. Like I can't get you guys sick over the computer right now or anything like that, but you wouldn't want me to sneeze on you. They say you're the most contagious like the day you come down with it. So it's a mild cold, but whatever, right? There's something that's like contagious on that level. Like where the one state like sneezes on the other state and it just like gets it sick. I'm like, well, Ohio, okay. No, I'm not telling you guys I'm moving. That's not my point. But for all of my friends that say move, move, and move where? Okay, Ohio. All right, well, Ohio's got a couple states touching it. Let's say Michigan was so bad that I thought it was to the point of no return. Okay. If I did, I'm just going down this. Look, guys, I'm not saying I'm giving up the fight here. Let me make this clear one more time. But survey says from my viewers, I just need to move and get out of Michigan. Okay, let me explore that. And help me, guys. Help me in the comments, which I will read later if you can think of a good plan here. So, okay, Ohio. That makes sense for many reasons. Logistically, it's closer. Okay, but here's the problem. If Michigan's that bad of a contagion that I need to leave, then it's ruined. It's done. It's just, what's up, Amanda? Nice to see you. Now, it touches a couple other states. All right. Let's move over to Pennsylvania. My friends in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is kind of reminding me a lot like Michigan. I hope this isn't the case, but it might be Michigan on a delayed reaction. Because I've seen some of the bills being introduced in Pennsylvania, and they look pretty much identical, and in a couple cases even worse than the ones in Michigan. Pennsylvania is right on the edge. If you guys live in Pennsylvania, I'm urging you, try to get it together. Like, really, big time, on the local level. I saw my friend Sergey in the chat, who's a smart man, and he's my friend. Listen to him, what he's saying, guys. Local level. Get it together, Pennsylvania. You have my encouragement. I'm challenging you. But Pennsylvania is on the downward trend right now when it comes to the Second Amendment. Kentucky. Heck, Kentucky's a lot more free than Michigan. But look at the Kentucky governor, Boucher. The Democrat governor of Kentucky is like besties. They're like best friends with Gretchen Whitmer. Dude, half the time you turn around, you're like, where's Gretchen? Where's Boucher? You guys know that's who your governor is in Kentucky, right? Oh, they're with J.D. Prickster in Illinois. Now, my friends that are watching that live in Illinois, you guys know that you're living in heck right now with this so-called AWB and worse and many other things. The governor of Kentucky's hanging out in Illinois or Michigan with my governor. Isn't that what they call him? Prickster? Is that how you pronounce his name? I think that's how you pronounce his name. I might be mispronouncing it. Now, you see where I'm headed with this. Tennessee. Now, I listen to the great state of Tennessee. Don't let anybody get offended. Like I said, my friends in all these states, there's good people in all these states. And a lot of these states are good places. A lot of good people. Many good people in Michigan, by the way. I can prove it. But look, Tennessee, they've got a whole slew of gun control that they're trying to make backroom deals. And I'm hearing from some Tennessee insiders, it's a lot closer to passing in Tennessee than what most people would ever even believe. But I was listening to Riley Gaines. Did you guys see that video? I posted it. Yeah. The analytics say it wasn't really worth posting, but hopefully it was worth it for those of you guys that really liked it. I asked you guys last week. And I'm listening to Riley talk. She's a Second Amendment supporter, by the way. Big into guns, shooting. Cool lady, actually. Cool chick. You know what I'm saying? Now, she said she was talking about the traffic, and she talked about Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville, Tennessee. And then she talked about how crazy the traffic is because of California taking over Nashville. So I'm like, okay, well, Tennessee, all right. Probably not. Now, you guys see where I'm heading with this, but I'm going to travel through those states here in a couple months. And then I'm going to keep going south, and I'm going to travel through the great state of South Carolina, where there's Lindsey Graham that votes for gun control, and in my opinion is a complete despot. Shout out to my friends in South Carolina, the Palmetto State. Beautiful place, beautiful people there. But your state's tyrannical and corrupt too, unfortunately. And then I'm going to be traveling just a little bit south of that. It's so close to the line. I may stay in South Carolina. I may stay in the great state of Georgia. Shout out to my Georgia friends that actually have the same exact amount of Democrat United States senators as Michigan does. So when it comes to on the national level, California. Yeah. Shout out to my friends in California. This isn't about me and you. It's just about what's going on in this country right now. Just think about this. I'm going to travel down to Georgia. That politically, on the United States level, we're looking at the United States Senate, the upper chamber of the United States Congress, the state of California, the state of New York, the state of Michigan, and the state of Georgia all have exactly 2 Democrat United States senators that vote for gun control no matter what every single time. So how do I run to the great state of Georgia? There's great people there, and there's probably people in this chat that I would want to be neighbors with, okay? Like, I totally get it. You go to parts of Georgia, and it's like, you're just in, like, this beautiful place. Trust me, where Eric, Iraq veteran 8888, has his range, okay? The part where he hangs out, dude, that's awesome. But there's many places in Michigan that look just like that, too. And California and New York. You look at upstate New York, it's a totally different world. Now, it's not, because they still live under the tyranny of New York City, and every rural area lives under the tyranny of all of the big cities, but you guys get my point. Where do I go? I've just walked through it with you guys, just going straight down. I'm going straight down the old map. And stuff. Fulton County? That's probably where they're going to be arresting Trump. And many say, I don't know. I'm just showing you what tumult we're in. That a former president could actually be in jail while the whole other party just gets by with whatever they want no matter what. Don't for 1 minute think that I'm being soft on rhinos. Truth be known, probably 3/4 of the Republicans should be in jail too. Probably, especially when we're looking at the national level. I'm just saying, you can't just throw like the leaders of one whole party in jail and threaten to put them in prison for 500 years while the other side just does whatever they want and burns down America for 2 summers. That's called tumult. That's what I mean by like the interesting times we're living in right now. Fulton County, Georgia is getting ready to, according to them, they're going to be locking them up. It doesn't matter what side of it you guys are on. Like that's the definition of a tumultuous situation. Like literally. I can go down to Florida, but here's the problem with me going down to Florida. And dude, shout out to all my friends in Florida. My good friend Catherine Henry, I was on her live stream earlier this week. I posted it on my YouTube community section. Make sure you guys don't forget about that YouTube community section, right, Jeremy Wilson? There's a lot of good content on that. But I was her guest on her stream. She lives in Florida. Okay, some of you guys do. It'd be tough for me to keep moving all the way down and go to Florida. You know why? Because unfortunately, as much as the Second Amendment's under attack in Michigan, I'd have to give up some of my free exercise of the right to keep and bear arms if I move from Michigan to Florida. Yeah, Florida is still more restrictive on the Second Amendment in a major way than Michigan is. Like, that's how messed up this is right now. You go down to Florida, it's still no open carry unless like on the way to fishing and or hunting or whatever. Do I have that right? Is it just fishing and hunting, I believe, right? I can put my rifle over my shoulder. I can bear it because the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That's very, very important to remember that. I can bear arms openly in Michigan right now. If I move to Florida, I'd actually have to give up. That's how messed up this country is right now. You go to the gunshine state and you lose some of your exercise of rights over Michigan. Right now in Michigan, I can upgrade the trigger in my firearm. I can't do that in Florida. One more time for any of you that just tried. I'm not ripping on Florida. Of course I'm not. Not the good people of Florida. I'm not ripping on the good people of Georgia. I'm not ripping on the good people of Tennessee and South Carolina and Kentucky and Ohio and Pennsylvania. I'm just saying, where do I go? Tell me where to go. I could go to the great state of Montana, big sky country, and have a Democrat senator that's voting to take my guns away. And then when it comes to these all-encompassing things, it's all-encompassing because it's the AFT, right? The former vice president, the AFT. I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize. Shubidadabadadash pressure. Yeah. You know you're living in interesting times when the current former vice president is living in the White House, and that was his big speech. God save the Queen was his recent rally cry. Now, hold on a minute. Just stop. Just stop for a second, guys. You can laugh if you want. We need to laugh sometimes. Okay. Let's laugh. Now put on your game face because this is dead serious. I just had to laugh. But we live in a country currently led by a former vice president. The so-called leader of the free world, the leader of America, literally said at a recent speech, God save the Queen. Now, I have friends actually that are Brits of England, Britain, right? Great Britain, the UK. And they're actually good people. There's many, many fine people that live there right now, actually. I know that. You guys are awesome. Keep up the good fight over there. I know you guys have it really tough in so many ways. But we don't live underneath the queen. And by the way, she died and now there's a king, but do I even need to finish my sentence? We live. I can see you've been active in the chat, Pooh. Yes. What do you think, Pooh? Chime in. I like my man Pooh in the chat tonight. We live, most of you guys live in the United States. Shout out to my Canadian friends that watch. You guys know who I am. There's really, really good regular old people in all these countries. I just don't want to be Canadian. I don't want to be living under this corporate whatever we're living under here. I don't want to be British. Like, I want to be an American, how America should be. But we live in a country where the so-called leader says, God save the Queen, as his main rallying cry and oath, I guess, or something. Michigan Capitol ban. It's a big deal, guys. And it's a big deal in this whole country. But if the rest of you would spare me just 2 minutes with my Michigan friends, and then we're going to get on to some more national stuff and about how you might need to own an FFL soon or hold an FFL soon. This Michigan Capitol Commission ban is completely unacceptable on so many levels. It's not just the Second Amendment infringements, but it's infringements on your right to privacy, but it's also a major sea change. If this is allowed to stand, it's going to cement in that we have a bureaucratic deep state in Michigan. And even for the rest of you right now, don't just tune out. This applies to all of us. If any state can have just a commission that's based to like keep the grounds maintained and stuff of a historical building, and they now get the power. Now, they've asserted they have the power, and the Attorney General has told them they do. But if they're allowed to just have that power and it's completely unchecked, where nothing happens in the courts of the legal system and nothing happens in the court of public opinion, that means we now consent. And that means we all now want to by virtue of consenting. Because remember, doing nothing is consenting, and it's telling them you want it. That means that we literally want it. We're unelected. I say secret. They're not technically a secret, but nobody knows about them. Commission can now ban guns. The totality of guns from a building, it's buildings, plural, that's owned by we the people. That's very, very bad precedent. That's very, very, very slippery slope. What's to say next? They're going to say, well, now you can't carry guns on state highways. You can't carry guns at, your local township hall. Oh, wait, they've already actually introduced legislation for that. Now, tyrannical legislation is very, very tyrannical. But about the only thing more tyrannical than tyrannical laws is tyrannical edicts and rules from bureaucrats. So I'm not going to say too much because this is a public stream, but I'm going to ask you guys, if you please answer, I'm going to check back. I'll check the chat here in a little bit. I'll review it over the weekend. If there was a date that I came up with where I wanted some of you guys to meet up with me at the Capitol in Michigan, okay? A lot of you had said, well, I would have gone to this rally. I would have gone to the other rally, but it wasn't at the Capitol. I've been listening to you guys. So if I wanted to go to the Capitol, I'm not even talking for a rally. I'm talking about for something else. But if I wanted to go to the Capitol, would anybody go there with me? Okay. To try to raise public awareness for this Capitol Commission rule. I'm just going to leave it at that. I have more plans in my head, but I don't want to say them right now. I just want to ask if anybody, if I was like, guys, do you want to go up to the Capitol and then just talk? Just hang out there. I'll just leave it at that for now. Would anybody do it? That's what I want to know. So FFOA, right? Future Felons of America. Future FFLs of America. Go ahead and queue up a couple super chats. I think I saw a couple trickle in, Linda, and I'd like to read those so I can thank them while they're still here. ATF. To that 1 second. Colin L with the super chat. Thank you. He said, nice threads, 2A. You look sharp with the reps. Well, thank you. And I'll be going back up to the Michigan Capitol soon. They're kind of out of session right now. But I've been going around talking to reps, as you can see, if you look at my community library and many other places throughout several counties. in the state of Michigan, and I really need a lot more of you guys to be holding these reps accountable, because I've been really, really beating the streets on this, and we need a lot of people, okay? We need a lot of people. And I want to make this capital commission ban a big deal. I don't want to just sit back and let them know that we're all totally cool with it, if you know what I mean. Because we're not cool with it at all. I'm not. I know a lot of you guys aren't. Thank you, Colin. Mayo Hunter, he says, do you know my rep, Mike Harris? He's a big 2A guy. Yes, I do, actually. I know Mike quite well. And yeah, I do know him, and he's a big 2A guy, and I think he's a cool dude. I like Mike Harris. Yes, sir. He's not too far from where I'm sitting right now in his district. He's just like a district over, but yeah. We may or may not have talked today, actually. So let me know. If you guys want to know about any of the reps, go ahead and ask me. I know. Not all good, but I know a lot about a lot of them. It's not all good, trust me. DLD After Dark with a super chat. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it, dude. He says, I get involved, but I got a killer hangnail. You guys would be surprised some of the excuses I get. Some of them I'm like, ugh. Jeez, oh, Pete's, man. But I'm just giving you guys a loving hard time, right? Not you guys that are watching right now. Just, sometimes the gun community likes to get a little bit, from my cold dead hands. This is how it'll go a lot on the internet. I think you guys will get this, right? That are here watching tonight. From my cold dead hands, but, oh, you're saying I can't literally just do it in my house slippers? See, I'm ready to do it. I've got 1,000 rounds of whatever. I've got my sling. I've got my bump helmet. But the lacing up the boots is the hard part. So, yeah, I'll just go back on the internet again. As long as I can do it in my house slippers. Tell me you guys don't know somebody like that somewhere. You have to know somebody like that somewhere, right? All right. Is that what I have, Linda? Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate it. No, it kind of is like that once in a while, isn't it? Okay, you guys are going to make me pretend I'm the only one, right? Gort chimed in. What's happening, Gort? He says Americans are realizing the Justice Department is an arm of the DNC. Ooh. Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading the conversation. I brought up a couple tough topics tonight. Like, geez, oh, Pete, we're on the brink of World War III, they say. Much of the world's trying to economically take us over. And meanwhile, more regular people I know are more afraid of their own government than they are any of this other crap. That's scary. That's sad. Because when the government fears the people, there's tyranny. And when the people fear the government, there's liberty. And a government clearly does not fear its people when they're just putting out executive orders and ATF rules, a dime a dozen, that carry like 10-year prison sentences per occurrence. Pretty obvious at this point where they're at with things, right? So we've gotten information that basically the next ATF rule is going to make it where they haven't hashed out all the details yet, but rumors have it could be 3 guns. It could be at most 5 guns that if you sell, that you would need an FFL. Now, look, like literally one of my best friends owns my local gun shop. I have good friends that own many gun shops. So it's nothing against their profession. I'm not even going there in a million years. But FFLs should not exist. They should not need to exist. And most good FFL holders that I know don't want them to exist either. Okay? Because if you're good at running a gun shop and you're good at what you do, you're going to get the business, selling a commodity, selling something that supposedly half of America owns. Sometimes it's hard to believe that with how weak and passive everybody is, with all the steamrolling that goes on, but whatever. If you sell a product that half of America owns and buys, you're going to get the business if you're good at it. That's what I've had a lot of FFL holders tell me. But there shouldn't be FFLs. Are you kidding? A license to sell something that isn't just any old inanimate object. It's one that was literally literally written down that it was to be protected. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Yeah. That means that, no, you shouldn't need a license to buy a paper plate. And you shouldn't need a license to buy a microwave oven. And you shouldn't need a license to buy a basketball. I think we should all agree on that. You shouldn't need a license to buy a paper plate or a basketball, duh. But it should even be more preposterous to have a license to sell a firearm, because that literally is enumerated in the Bill of Rights, which is an amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which in the United States of America is the supreme law of the land. Now, any country that the Second Amendment isn't the supreme law of the land is clearly not the United States of America, because that's what our Constitution says. See the conundrum we're in? Future FFLs of America, FFOA, Future Felons of America, is for the bump stocks. It has been frames and receivers, and then braces is the big one that we've been raising awareness for quite a while here on this channel. Now, at the same time, as my southern friends would say, that they're fixing to put this rule in, right? See, I pay attention when I go down there, how y'all talk, and I like it down there. I just don't like Stacey Abrams and stuff, but like I like where I'm going to be going to Georgia. You guys get it, don't you? Anyways, they're fixing to put in a rule to make it where like almost everybody I know would have to be an FFL. But here's the big problem with that. It costs a lot of money to be an FFL. And very few people would be actually truly like opening up a brick and mortar FFL. But recently, and prospectively going further, it's going to be getting a lot worse. But it's been getting really bad just in the last year or two. The all-time high amount of FFL revocations, where they're revoking people's FFLs. Yes, from brick and mortars, but even more predominantly from these home-based FFLs. People doing FFLs out of their home. So do you think it's a coincidence that in a time where they're revoking home-based FFLs, rating them, getting them on the most minor paperwork violations, that now they're trying to promulgate a rule to where if you try to sell more than just an extremely limited number of your lawfully owned pieces of property, that you would now have to become licensed with the government, pay a fee, have to keep paperwork, bound books. Look, this is heading to the universal background check, obviously. I hope you guys know this, and I've said this before, and I need to re-emphasize it one more time, because there's always new viewers who come. Guys, I get it that all my viewers aren't from Michigan, of course. But I haven't been talking about Michigan so much because I just don't care about the rest of you or I'm selfish. No. What's been happening in Michigan literally happened the same week that the former vice president put out his gun control agenda for America. This is the agenda for the whole United States. So everything you're seeing happening in Michigan, and it's going to happen in Michigan, is all the same stuff that either is happening in other states or is going to be happening in every other state, meaning what they're doing on the federal level. It's all the same thing. These are all the same people. They're all the same groups. Some of them are Americans, some of them aren't. Some of the so-called Americans behind this are actually less American than a lot of foreigners. It's a really messed up concept, but it's true. Okay, so universal licensing, registration, background checks. Well, really, it's universal confiscation, because registration always has and always will lead to confiscation. So some states are passing laws. Some states have had those laws for a long time. And now you have the federal government that's got to be, and it's probably going to be a bad one, real bad one when it comes to, well, they're all bad, but even more worser than the last one and stuff. I can't even grammatically speak when I think about this stuff, because it's such an insult to my intelligence, requiring the listener to be dumber than the speaker. I find myself half brain dead when I even think about this. Just think about it for a minute. I can barely speak. This is so stupid and so unacceptable. They're trying to put in a universal registration, licensing, background check scheme in this whole country. It's true. They're trying to put red flags through in every state of this country. Are you guys keeping track of your local state capital? Like I said, they literally said it on the national stage right in front of everybody. They said Michigan's the blueprint. Okay? Because someone just said so many hunters in Michigan. Yeah. Don't get me started on all of them, if you know what I mean. Like, if you're a hunter, awesome. But the people that are just hunters, and don't even get me started. If we could even get 0.1%, 1/100th% of the hunters, we'd be in good shape. Let me know, guys, how we're going to get the hunters riled up. No, they said, look, red flag laws. That was part of that Safer Communities Act that pretty much a senator from every darn state almost in this whole country voted for. It now bribes and provides lots of money for states to enact those. So you're going to be looking for those to come through, state by state by state. Universal background checks. Well, the ATF's going to handle that with making everybody be an FFL that wants to sell more than maybe it'll be 3, maybe it'll be 5 firearms. Are you kidding me? Hold on 1 second, guys. Pardon me, I had to blow my nose real quick. Yeah, Liberty Absurdity said license equals a privilege. Absolutely. Absolutely it does. If you have to pay a fee for something, clearly it's a privilege and you're asking permission for it. It's interesting. How far are they going to have to go where the consensus of, and these are two different things, trust me, the consensus of the gun owners, the consensus of the 2A community. Yes, there's overlap. Most people in the 2A community do own guns, although not all. I know some ardent 2A supporters that don't own a single gun. Most 2A supporters own guns. But when we go over to gun owners, I would dare to venture most. No, I'm not going to dare to venture. I'm just going to be blunt about it. Clearly, obviously, provably, most gun owners are not pro Second Amendment. They're just not. And if they are, they're under some illusion of they just don't care. Because if as many people that own guns in the state of Michigan or in this whole country were true Second Amendment supporters, things would be a lot different in a good way. They wouldn't even dream of passing a gun control law. I don't even think the ATF would be allowed to exist. So the problem is, yeah, the vast majority of most gun owners aren't Second Amendment supporters at all. And yes, lots of people lie too. You guys have to remember that. Just because somebody says, I own a gun, so of course that means I'm a Second Amendment supporter. Well, maybe, but just by them saying that means nothing at all. There's a very good chance they're actually just lying to you, right? And I see a lot of that going on clearly every single day. Heck, the former vice president owns a shotgun. There's a gun owner. The interesting thing is, though, guys, is the Second Amendment's put there to defend and protect all the rest. And I understand the analogy when people say, well, do you need a license to vote? Do you need a license to freedom of speech, to speak? Actually, yeah, you kind of already do, unfortunately. No, I'm being serious. You actually do. Like, you have to pay for a permit before you can speak in the, have a rally at the permitted areas of the state capitol. Go to your local city. Call up your mayor. Call up your city council and say, I'm going to have a Second Amendment rally. The right of the people to peaceably assemble Redress of grievance, check. We're going to pray while we're there. Okay, religious freedom, check. We're going to speak, check. You can check. We're going to have the press there, check. You can check every box of the First Amendment, and they'll say, all right, $125, $500. And then they'll say, we need to see your bond or your insurance policy in a lot of places. So, actually, yeah. In many places for speech, you do actually need to be like insured and pay for a permit. I don't know. It's a good analogy, and I do like it, but we are kind of down that road right now, actually. You kind of do have to pay for a permit for your speech in many, many ways. A piece of property that's not only lawful to own, but specifically protected and enumerated that you have the right to keep and bear it, is under one of the most strictest and highest levels of scrutiny in this country. But we had the Bruin decision. Yep, we did. But there's the Firearms Owners Protection Act of 1986 that banned machine guns, by the way. Because anytime we pass a pro-Second Amendment law, it can be pro-Second Amendment in these 5 areas, but then it has to, like, make it where machine guns can't be added to the registry ever again. You guys ever notice that? Anytime there's any type of victory on the national level, it's like this huge Pyrrhic victory. It's actually worse than a Pyrrhic victory. You like literally lose more. Like, okay, we'll give you these 4 good things, but then we'll take away this one thing that's worse than all 4 good things combined. Let's hope we have some more good SCOTUS decisions, guys. Really, really. And this is not for me to try to blackpill all of you guys. I'm not blackpilled. Here's where I'm at with all this tonight. I just wanted to start off having a talk, realizing where we're actually at right now, and just kind of see. And this isn't you guys watching. You guys care because you're in here and this is on the top of your mind thinking about this stuff. But man, it's time for you guys to start talking to your friends and neighbors and everybody you know, like on the internet and in real life, and see where they're at with this stuff. Like, are they still cool with just like literally doing nothing? How many of your friends and neighbors and family and whatnot don't even know like who their state representative is? Geez, it's getting so bad with so many people. I'll say, can you name one of your township trustees? Now, I was hanging out with one of my township trustees, Chris Collins, and Kyle Bryant, who also sits on the board. So there's the names of 2 people I was hanging out with in my very local government this week, face to face. But not only can a lot of people not even name one person in their city council or their township board, but a lot of people tell me they don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm like, well, what do you mean you don't know what I'm talking about? Like, okay, fine. At least learn the name of one of them. At least find out where one person, here's your homework assignment I've told you, one person in your hometown stands on the Second Amendment. And they're like, dude, no, just stop. We have to back up. I'm like, okay. Back up to what? Dude, like, my challenge was simple. Next time we talk, can you name me one person that's one of your township elected officials? Can you just name me one? They're like, stop, dude. We have to back up. I'm like, what? What's wrong? I can't go less than 0. They're like, what do you mean, my township trustees? What the heck is that? I'm like, oh. Oh, really? Do you pay property taxes every year? Well, of course. The only 2 things in sure in life is you're going to pay taxes and then you'll die. Yep. Well, who do you pay your local taxes to? Your property taxes to? You're paying them either to your township or your city. It might be different in other states, but you guys know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I just go up there on on Vivian Road and turn them in there at that one building. I'm like, dude, that's where your township hall is. That's where your township board of trustees are at. Really? How do you meet them? I'm like, go on their website. It has their email addresses. It has the list of their meetings, the schedule. You can see the itinerary for the upcoming meetings. You can either listen to, in many cases, watch, or read the transcript from the last ones. And they're like, oh, geez, I can't find all that. Here's the irony. Like, dude, you have a bachelor's degree in IT. Like, you can't even make some of this stuff up. Some of these people have so many college degrees, you can't even count how many they have. They can't even count how many they have. And I'm like, can you at least find out where one of your county commissioners stands on the Second Amendment, or your township trustee, or your city councilman? And they're like, I can't even find out who they are. Really? Hey, I'm just letting you guys know, this is to offer you encouragement. Meaning we got a lot of work to do. There's still a lot of people out there that not only don't even know who their local public servants are, but they don't even know that they have local public servants, and also don't even know how to find out if they have any local public servants. I mean, these are people making laws that's going to affect every aspect of their life. And so I'm not trying to get all of you guys to get where you're political 24/7. No, that's not for everybody. I get it. People get more engaged in politics on election years, then they kind of fall asleep. Midterm elections, maybe a little bit, but a lot of people just kind of, like watch a presidential debate or two on TV and they'll kind of for a minute and then go to sleep for 4 years. I get that's human nature, but look where human nature and the status quo has gotten us. It's gotten us in the shape we're in so many ways. So, do you guys have a local county fair where you're at? For example, I went to my county fair and let's see here. I saw a state senator there. I met for the first time State Representative Will Bruck, who's just very recently retired from the armed services. And I've talked to her like 3 times on the phone this week, but I almost ran into my favorite state representative, Jamie Thompson, my state rep, like 3 different times, but we were just like crossing paths at the fair. But I didn't need to see her in particular because I talk to her all the time. But that's a good place you can meet people, is what I'm trying to say. I'm just giving you guys ideas. You can just stroll on into the old meeting and sit down and listen to what they're talking about. Lots of cool stuff like that you can do. And maybe you try to make it like a little bit fun. Like, hey guys, let's see where our county's at with this. Let's see if our county's a 2A sanctuary county. Or let's see if our county, where's our county going to stand when it comes to these red flag laws in Michigan next year? Well, maybe get 2 or 3 of the fellas or gals together and say, all right, let's go up there and listen to that meeting for an hour, and then maybe we can write down some of the names and maybe talk to some of them afterwards or whatever. Get their numbers so you can talk to them later. It's pretty easy to do if you just go there. And then go out to dinner afterwards. Maybe you'll go watch Sound of Freedom afterwards or something. Try to dovetail it into something that's a little bit fun, right? I have some people to thank. Can you cue up those super chats for me, Linda? Thank you, guys. And you guys, by the way, while I'm going through these, give each other ideas. It might be going to the county fairs lame. Maybe like going to a meeting and going out to dinner or movies lame. I don't know. Maybe there's more fun things to do. I want to see where some of these Second Amendment supporting reps are and see if they'll put their money where their mouth is. You know what I think would be fun? And you guys can chime in all 50 states. Just the concept of this, okay? If you guys want to do it in your area, then you'll have to get a hold of your local. But wouldn't it be fun to have like a Second Amendment supporting like state rep or two and have them go to a range and have a little competition and see if you can outshoot your state rep? Just an idea I had. Let me know what you guys think of that idea. I'm trying to think of ways people can engage where it's at least like a little bit fun. Because I realize if it's like not like somewhat fun or like super fun, a lot of people tap out. Not you guys one more time, but just we're talking the general NPC Second Amendment supporters and gun owners of the world, right? Patrick Fellers with a super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. He says, imagine how quickly the U.S. might have fallen if these radicals in D.C. would have been able to destroy the 2A. Still, they attack it any way they can. Yeah, man. And we see that the more they attack the Second Amendment, this is not a coincidence, in my opinion, the more they're attacking all the rest. I mean, they're going after our children right now in just unprecedented fashion, going after the First Amendment in unprecedented fashion. So there's definitely a correlation. Marco Polo with the super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. He says, great stream. Thank you. Well, thank you, Marco. And look forward to seeing pictures of that dagger on Locals. That's the other community where we hang out, guys, where we can actually... Did you guys know that? If you're a supporter on my Locals, you can literally make your own post. Being like, look, guys, here's my new dagger I'm putting together and stuff like that. That's how I know that Marco's getting ready to add something cool to the old collection. Colin L with another super chat. Thanks, Colin. He says, Marquette County will be the go-to place for enforcement of red flag laws of the UP. Okay, good. You're doing some recon. I mean, that's not good that Marquette County is going to do that. That's not what I meant. You know that. It's good that you're doing some recon and some strategy up there in the UP. I like it. You need to know these things. Next would be Escanaba, but I don't think Esky would comply. I don't know. I like that. You're thinking, man. That's good. We need to think about this stuff. Like, Michigan's a big state. It's a weird state. I mean, we have like a bridge that separates and a body of water, but it's still all one state. But there's different cultures that live throughout this big state. It's a weird place. And then you can get to this whole country. Like, things are so vastly different, but that's why everybody needs to be keeping track of this stuff and know what's going on. So there you go. Some good intel for some of the Yoopers out there. I'm calling us Yoopers, and you guys have heard this, right? If not, here's some quick comic relief for all the rest of you out there. They'll call us trolls, okay? You guys heard this? Not an internet troll, no. The Yoopers, there's the bridge, right? The Mackinac Bridge. They call all of us trolls because we live under the bridge. It's true. Ask Colin. I mean, we're going to start a good old-fashioned Michigan Civil War in here tonight before it's over, guys. We're coming in hot. They're like, oh my gosh, this guy's talking about how this whole country's on the brink of a civil war. Now he's trying to start it. Well, no. Not so fast, guys. It's true. Colin and hopefully 5 other people vouch for me right now. The Yoopers will say, you guys are trolls because you live under the bridge. I don't know. I'm trying to have fun. Gray Man with a super chat. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I hope you're doing good, dude. He says, for the uninformed, FUD. Ooh, okay. Let's see here. A gun owner who supports traditional hunting guns but favors gun control for other guns, such as handguns or tactical rifles. Wiktionary. That's a pretty succinct way to wrap it up. Yes, sir. A FUD kind of falls under, like, you know it when you see it. A gun owner who supports traditional hunting guns but favors gun control for other guns, such as handguns or tactical rifles. Yeah. And that's the classic FUD. It ain't that simple, though, right? Right, Gray Man? We also have what we call neo-FUDs, too. Now, I don't know if Mateo's tapped out and gone to bed yet. Speaking of the great state of Kentucky, he may have already chimed in earlier, but see, this just shows, guys, look, when you think I'm ripping on where you live or whatever, I'm not, okay? It's known that Mateo and I are good friends, and he's done a lot for this channel, and I thank you for that, man. He lives in Kentucky. We've spent a good bit of time ripping on my governor and his governor, so, like, you can chime in about your governor if you want, Mateo. That's all I'm trying to say with that. And Mateo's the one he's got about 3 different categories now. The neo-FUD we've been talking about for a while, and then the neo-FUD is even kind of branching off enough where it's going to need its own subcategory soon. So Mateo can tell you about the neo-FUD. That's why I brought him up. And tell you about his governor in Kentucky. Ultra Mega Mama Linda. There she is. I always like seeing her. I've got a liking for her if you guys didn't know. She says, thank you, Rudy Finney, for gifting 10 channel memberships. Well, thanks, Rudy Finney. I appreciate you, dude. Thank you. Rudy Finney's a good Michigan guy and longtime supporter of the channel. And what do you think of this state, Rudy? He goes, I know. We'll get it together. Mr. C chiming in. Thank you. Thanks for the super chat, man. He says, remember when NRA membership was two-way supported off? Jeez. I do remember that until the NRA ended up being one of the biggest anti-gun organizations, it seems like, in so many ways, unfortunately. I get totally what you're saying, 100%. But I'm sure you're thinking the same thing, Mr. C. It seemed like it was good enough back then. Maybe it never was enough. Maybe, we had such good times for so long that good times made weak men, right? I don't know. I think it's just when people become accustomed to things, they just kind of start. I don't know if they're really cool with it, but it just becomes the status quo, unfortunately. And I'm not making up that notion. That's literally what Thomas Jefferson said when he wrote the Declaration of Independence. People are more disposed to suffer. Well, evils are sufferable. Right? We like to stick with the forms that we're accustomed to. And it literally takes a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursued invariably to reduce us, right? Under a design of absolute despotism. And Vince is a design. Under absolute despotism. That's when sometimes, at least 250 years ago, people believed it was their right. It was their duty. And they said, enough of this government. We're done with it. Now, I'm not going to advocate for that here because here's the problem. We are so leaps and bounds away from anything like what this country was founded on. It's not even funny. I'm just trying to get people to learn that they do have local forms of government. First, we have to let everyone know that it actually exists. And then once they realize that, then maybe they can actually start to meet some of their local public servants. Maybe that they can start meeting people in their state legislature. And we talk a lot about federal stuff, but your state will pass laws this year, no matter what, that will affect your day-to-day life way more than the federal government in so many ways. Right? I saw Frag Out Designs. She had started something real quick here. What's happening, man? Nice to see you in the chat. Frag Out Design Studios. Shout out to you and your channel. What's happening, man? Nice to see you. He says NRA equals not really awesome. Well, I mean, hey, look, guys. I'm a life member. I thought that was the way to go and what I was supposed to do when I was younger. So I don't know. You guys can condemn me if you want, but I'm going to say it a different way. Don't be embarrassed if some of you guys have been. So many things have come out though from that organization since then, and I've learned so much about it. I don't know how long it's been since it was actually decent, but it's in big trouble now. I'll say that for sure. And I'm not giving them any more money. Good night, Jason Maseko. If you haven't already left, nice to see you, man. Chanzik says, like the stream and share, please. Hey, those thumbs ups do help a lot. And if you guys want to leave a quick comment for the algorithm afterwards, that also helps out a lot too. What's up, Pillbox Bunker? Jane Locke. I'm seeing some good Michigan people in here. Bill Alexander. Yeah, furthest corner from the UP. Ultra Mega Mama. Fragout's got me on TV just wrapping up at the shop. I'm still at my shop, man. You know how it goes. You own a small business? Does anyone think you own a small business if you own one? No, the small business owns you. Tell me if I'm right, guys. I know some of you guys own businesses. It owns you. What's up, JJ Randy? Nice to see you, man. Dude, Randy Smith, thank you for telling me. Lami's been sitting in the dark the whole night. Jeez, oh Pete. There, now you can see Lamy with his half track. And he's got an M2. Quite a few guns, actually. 1918, 1917, both. I'm going to get off for just 1 second here, guys. We've talked about quite a bit. I went an hour and a half, which was a little bit longer than I thought I was going to make it. But I'll blow my nose here and hang out with you guys in the chat just for another minute here. Yeah, not allowed to have light bulbs anymore, like Linda said. Oh, shoot, am I going to get fined for this? I don't have any light bulbs on this stream tonight and stuff. You guys know that, right? Not allowed to have light bulbs anymore. There, now you don't have to hear me or watch me blow my nose. Colin on with another super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, dude. He says Upper Peninsula is really an untouched area of the country. Yeah, in so many ways. But like you mentioned, though, you have your sore spots like Marquette and stuff. They're trying to move on you guys, too. So keep up the good fight up there, dude. You know what I'm talking about. 2-lane highways. Not a good career area. Just down-home individuals doing the best they can. Living in a rural area. And those are my kind of people, man. I like those kind of people. God, family, and 2A. Try that in a small town. I like that, man. Thank you for such a generous super chat. I appreciate it, dude. Yeah, that's true, man. It just sucks that 90% of the people in this country have to suffer all this crap for like 10% of the zealots. Patrick Fellers with a super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. He said, I know you're typically a budget gun reviewer, but you should check out a Lone Wolf Dusk 19, if for no other reason than a political break. I'll look into it. I'm not familiar with it. On my locals community, I probably showed about, we'll just say not budget amount of AKs on there. I showed quite a few AKs just in my last local stream. So, yeah, guys, I'm still doing tons of gun content. I don't know. I'm going to do some more gun reviews on YouTube soon. It's just YouTube's a whole other bureaucracy, behind the scenes stuff. Trust me. I don't like to just sit here and dwell on negatives, but, yeah, that's a whole nother topic, YouTube in and of itself. Yeah. Lone Wolf Dusk 19. I will look into that, but I do not have one. And the problem I have is I don't have manufacturers sending me guns, so I can't promise that, but I will find out what it is first and foremost. Rudy Fenny with a super chat. Thanks for being so generous tonight, man. He says, it is our right and duty. Our forefathers would have had heads rolling and bodies swinging long before now. I agree with you. The founding fathers definitely would have. Yeah. I don't move because I refuse to give up on my fellow Michiganians. What sucks is a lot of the people moving from Michigan right now. You guys do know Michigan's in a population decline, right? And it's a lot of the conservatives leaving, unfortunately. Sucks. It's tough. But I don't know how many people truly are leaving, just people saying they're leaving on the internet. You don't know. I've had a lot of my viewers say they're leaving, and then I never saw them in the comment section of another Michigan gun rights video, so maybe they moved that quickly. I don't know, man. I just don't know. Oh, boy. Keeping us in the dark, says Paul Ross with the light bulbs. What do you think about them light bulbs, Rudy? Don't leave me another super chat. I'm just saying. Keeping us in the dark. Yeah. Paul Ross says. Pillbox Bunker says, I think Brandon likes to sit on the bulbs. Yeah. Ultra Mega Mama says that's not what Gretchen says. J Lock, you talking about impeachment, girl? What's J Lock talking about up here? You never know what Jay. Yep, we need to ban Brandon. There we go. There's my girl. I know Jay Lock ain't gonna go down easy. How many of you guys have hung out with Jane in real life? Have you been to any of the 2A rallies around here? You have. Or to the 2A EDU hangouts? I don't have any merch like this for sale, guys. Someone was asking about the hats earlier. When I get time, I will have them available eventually. But they used to be available. I know how it works. Back when they were available, like, not too many people really wanted them. But now that they're not available, people do. But you probably come to the channel since then, so I will have 2A hats as soon as I can. Yeah, Chanzig goes, LOL. I'm sure they're celebrating a big win on light bulbs because there's nothing else more important to deal with. Yeah, imagine that. That's the most important thing to deal with. Threaded for my pleasures chiming in. Saying Jane's the real deal. Hung out with her twice. Yep, Dale did. Pillbox Bunker. Oh, all these people chiming in are awesome people. Look at these guys. It's a Glock platform, Patrick Fowlers is telling me, but manufacturer constructed all in the USA. I have done a bunch of stuff with the daggers. I did a dagger review here on YouTube, but I've showed the PSA daggers a lot on locals. I'm not saying it's that, but the dagger is also a Glock platform that's made in the USA. All right, I'm going to read a couple more of these chats, and I need to tap out because I'm actually getting really hungry. And the good old Walmart's closed, so I'll have to try to find some random tissues somewhere. Rudy Finney with another super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. He says, more government BS. Anything they can do to get closer to telling you when you can take a crap. You guys do know that, like, the Facebook app knows when you're doing that, right? They literally have the AI and the algorithms and the spyware so hardcore on our willingly owned and kept CIA transmission devices, right? This is all they need, right? Is for us to all carry around one of these. And we all do, right? There's literally been multiple cases. This isn't just a one-off, but multiple cases where people found out they were pregnant because of the stuff getting marketed and sent to them, that the AI actually knew they were pregnant before they were. People getting advertisements for medications before they even knew they had the symptoms of something. And they're like, whoa, that's weird that I just came down with this. They've been marketing to me medicine for that for the last day or two or weeks, depending on what. Like, that's literally how crazy it's getting to be right now. And then what coincides with that? Universal background checks, licensing, registration on many state levels, and they're really, really pushing as hard as they can for it on the federal level. That's the next big push. And somebody said something about, well, we're expecting some more Supreme Court cases. I want some more victories, guys. I really do. I love victories. Don't think for 1 minute I don't. Colin L with another super chat. Thank you, Colin. He said, think if using a 2-stroke chainsaw, will be jailed. Well, in some states already, yeah. That's where we could be here very, very soon, too. Yeah. I don't know if we're all just getting old or what, but it's like, see, certain things like technology might change, but now the freedom to be able to use whatever tools you deem necessary, whether it's for cutting wood, to heat your home, put food on the table with, right? And people forget about that. If everyone's only using public utility, they don't even have to go like turn the valve anymore or manually flip the switch. No, they can just push a button on the computer. And that's how it is right now. Soon it'll be to the point where the algorithm will decide who's allowed to be able to utilize public utilities and stuff. I get it, man. Many, many tools, including tools that are necessary to the security of a free state, tools that are necessary to put meat on the table. Yep. And I know you were not being sarcastic. That was part of it. I use some battery powered tools when I want to. They're fine if you want to use them. But to say that's all I can have, no. Clearly, I believe in some types of technology, or I wouldn't be on the internet right now talking to all of you. Solar-powered chainsaws work great. Jeez, oh Pete. Solar-powered chainsaws. Ugh. Just taking a real quick look here. Keep in mind, I don't get 100% of the chat because they only show me the top chat. I'll give you guys a quick piece of advice. That's because I'm using StreamYard. I wish they'd integrate it where I could get all of it, but I'll check it out on the replay like I always do. When you guys are on your devices, you know you can select between live chat and top chat, right? So some of you might only be on top chat right now, and you could be missing a large portion of the chat. Keep that in mind. A lot of people don't even realize that exists. It's something you can toggle right there. Whatever device you're on, it might be in different places, but right where it says like live chat, that's everything. Top chat is just part of it. Patrick Fowler says, who you calling old? And I'm like that old song goes, I'm much too young to be feeling this damn old right this exact minute, but we're like 5 scotch or whiskey. Yep, getting better with time. No, I don't know. Sometimes I just think maybe I'm just getting too old. Like I'm all curmudgeon. Like, no, I'll have my 2-stroke engine if I want it. I'll have my diesel or gasoline truck if I want it. Yeah, below nothing. We'll be happy living in little housing modules, Rob Morris is saying. Yeah, but if you want to turn up the heat, the AI will decide if you really need it. Yeah. I wonder how many guns the AI would decide that we're allowed to have. Rudy Fetty, my favorite are toothless saws. For toothless saws for our safety, of course. Right? Oh, geez, oh, Pete. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off. I've actually been on here for an hour and 40 minutes. No, I think we talked about quite a bit of stuff tonight. Mateo said he's getting out of here 7 minutes ago to go get some food. Now I'm even getting hungry or just thinking about how jealous I am of everyone who's had the chance to have dinner tonight. And I haven't had that chance yet. Johnny Propate, ammo debate. Which ammo runs best to the Walther P22? I do not own a P22. But I posted some good 22 LR ammo deals recently over on Locals. and some good AR deals and AK deals and 2 different red dots that were like $70 a piece today. So I post lots of good stuff over there that I cannot post here on YouTube. Good to see all of you guys. Lucky Dog 350X. Nice to see you at the last second there. Bill Alexander. Pillbox, Paul Ross. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.